Hey, everybody, welcome to Sweeter After Difficulty podcast. My name is Randy Highsmith, and I've got a couple of awesome friends with me today. This is my buddy Jordan Lopez joining us all the way out from beautiful Georgia, and my friend Chris Anderson also joining us today as well. We're going to do a little conversation, a little bourbon, have some fun, and hopefully engage in some conversation, open, our thoughts and our processes and our perspectives up a little bit and just kind of bounce off each other some ideas about the kind of things that are important to us as citizens, as men, as warriors, as fathers, as husbands in this ever changing landscape. So thank you so much, guys, for being here with me today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Right on. So I wanted to start this off with a toast. Obviously, we brought a little bit of bourbon with us. I'm enjoying a nice Biv and Tucker that my nephew and his wife bought for me for my birthday. So I'm going to do a little toast, and then we're going to jump right into some conversation related to that. So the one I found today, and I thought this was so good, such a great way to start the show, is about courage. And the quote I found says, "Courage doesn't happen when you have all the answers. It happens when you are ready to face the questions that you've been avoiding your whole life." And that's by Shannon L. Adler. And I thought that was such an impacting quote, right? Because we're going through this, or at least I am. I'm in this crazy transition period in life. New ideas, new concepts, rethinking old concepts, breaking down paradigms that are sort of built in automatically into all of us, I think. And it's given me a really crazy perspective, but it ties so closely into courage. So I wanted to start the conversation by asking you guys, what do you think? What is courage? What defines what courage is? What does it mean when you say something or someone is courageous? Jordan, what do
Uh,
you
well,
think?
Well, for me, courage is one of those things where it's a virtue that you can't fake, right? Like it has to be something that's tested. It has to be means tested. Like you can think that you have courage or you're courageous, but until the time comes that you actually get tested on it, then it's not really there until it's there, kind of a thing. And
When you say testing, what? So I guess that's let's break it down and sort of define courage itself. Like, what's the difference between courage and bravery, or courage and cowardice? If it needs to be more opposites.
I would say it's one of those things where it's like you have to be able to be willing to push yourself in a situation that you need to have courage to engage and to do, right? Like I don't know, from a jujitsu perspective, we can all roll with white belts all day long, and it doesn't take much courage to smash a white belt. Smash a white belt. But when our mutual friend Jimmy walks in the door, you see him and go, "Well, there's my role today." It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be great, but the situation you have to go do it because it's what it takes to improve and what it takes to get better and stuff like that. So it has to be a thing that's actually forced under gravity. I think would be probably the way of doing it. Just letting it be an ethereal thought.
Do you think then? So does that mean that it automatically includes some sort of a situation that, under normal circumstances, you would just avoid?
Yeah, I think so. Because like, I don't know, especially nowadays, everybody likes to think that they're brave or they're courageous. It's like I'm a dad and I raise my kids and I'm brave. You're like,
right.
what you do? Like, don't talk to me about things that you're supposed to do and call yourself brave. Like, it takes a kind of a special situation to fall into that realm of bravery or courage versus just doing what everybody else does and pat yourself on the back for it.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's
What do
it,
you think, Chris?
it's similar to that like Mike Tyson quote in a way, where it's like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Everybody can say that they're brave or they're courageous, or when I get mad, I just see red and I can defend myself just fine. And it's like I distinctly remember the first time I walked into the jujitsu gym and I rolled with Jordan. And I walked out of there. I walked into that gym that day thinking, I'm a big, strong guy. I go to the gym all the time. I have a decent level of aggression. I'm going to be able to handle myself against these guys in pajamas. And I think the first submission that Jordan got me with on day one was a smother. And it just covered and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. And I think like the notion of courage being means tested is when you get that stark of a reality check that
Mm.
really challenges your self perception. what do you do? Do you just, all right, no, it's not for me. Like that wasn't fun. I was bored. Whatever. Like you find like your brain wants to give you these excuses that makes it okay for that that humbling experience. And I think courage has a lot to do with being both self-aware and also action-oriented. Like I got my butt kicked and I'm okay with that, but now I'm going to go back and train every single day until I'm confident that I can do the thing that I just was humbled by.
So, is the act of being courageous, um, is it intentional?
I think so. I think not only is it intentional, but it requires consistency. Like I think it's so often people go, "Oh, that was such a courageous thing that you did when you stood up for the thing that you believed in." And it like implies that courage is a singular event. I think courage is just a trait. And sometimes you're not going to live out your courage in the way that you would have wanted, but that doesn't mean that you're done. Like it's not this fleeting thing that disappears. Like show up every single day, and that's how you display your courage.
Because I think what I'm thinking of is, and sort of to your point, is you hear people say, "Oh, that was courageous of you to do that," or "That took a lot of courage to do that." But you don't hear a lot of people going, "It took a lot of courage for me to do that," or
Mm,
like I found myself courageous in, in this
Yeah.
environment. Uh,
right,
like
right.
I think most of the time. So I guess maybe I'm also thinking about how is courage related to humility,
Yeah.
or
I
is
think
it?
though, I think a big part of courage is realizing that the outcome is not guaranteed.
Hmm.
You could show up and think you're gonna have this specific outcome, and the outcome doesn't happen. And it's kind of like once you realize that it's not going to be what you think it's going to be, how do you deal with that? Like, I want to say like that Goggins quote, like when the distance is unknown and the ending is unknown, like that's when you know who you are. Like when you're willing to just keep pushing and keep grinding, even though you're not going to get the guaranteed outcome that you're looking for. Like, I don't know. We've all dealt with that. All dealt with that with work or with belt promotions, or like you think that you're at the level and you don't and you're not the level you think you're at, or somebody who's above you doesn't think you're at the level you think you're at. And you're disappointed by it, and then you get to decide, what am I going to do right now? Like, am I going to keep doing this, or am I going to find something new to do? And it's that kind of that decision when you don't know what the outcome is that kind of defines it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the idea of guaranteed outcomes and how that ties into what could be considered brave or courageous is an important distinction too. Um, you know, if you think of like, I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking of like when your kids are little, right? And one of them starts wandering too close to the street and you notice, there's a car flying down the road, right? Your instinct is to run and grab them, to not think about yourself, but to get your kid out of danger. Um, that's what we call instinct, right? Do you think that there's a natural tie-in uh to your instincts as an individual and how those feed into your ability or desire to be courageous? Because on the other foot, you've seen options where somebody's kid wanders into danger and in this age of video cameras, and then you see the dad kind of back up and then something bad happens to the kid. Do you think that courage, or having courage in those situations, especially having it attached to your instincts, is a matter of practice or a matter of character?
I don't know. I feel like the society we live in nowadays, like a lot of gravity has been taken away from people. Like when it comes to knowing how to protect yourself or how to protect your family or how to deal in uncomfortable situations in life. Like so much of that has been pushed off to somebody else, or we're allowed to be shitty online to people and with no sense of repercussion to it. And I just think it's the more and more you start dealing with people in like in meat space and like actually understanding how people work, you start realizing more and more like not everybody's the same, and not everybody has those characteristics that make them a good human being or a bad human being, right? Like you might be good at something, but it doesn't make you a good person or a good human. And I think that courage is kind of one of those things. Like, all right, well, you're able to survive nowadays because you're not courageous, and we live in a comfortable bubble wrap society that allows you to not be this way. But if we didn't, then it wouldn't exist.
But that is an interesting
Yeah.
sort of tangent to go down, right? Because the advent and familiarity with people being online has certainly created a breeding ground for a lot of different types of courage that aren't necessarily linked to anything real, right, or tangible. It's just sort of it's easy to be courageous in a safe place, if somebody really can't reach out and touch you. uh,
That goes back to what Chris was saying, right? Like, anybody can be Billy Badass online, like until you show up to a jujitsu school and everybody rolls with everybody, and a 120-pound girl grabs you around the neck and puts you to sleep. Like it's, and you might get up and be like, "I'm still a
Yeah.
badass." Well, no, you're not.
Right.
Yeah,
It's that
I like.
gravity to test you, and if you're not getting that gravity, then
it takes courage to tell that story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I got a girl right now who's training with us, and she's that. She's 5'2", 120 pounds, and she's on the path to be a murderer. And it's just like you're I know you're gonna catch somebody one day, put them to sleep, and they're gonna be.
Well, that's awesome. I like the way that you phrased it, Randy, when you were talking about like the exposure to everything being online. And I think like we're all of the age and the generation where we remember what pre-internet world was like and have an interesting like observation on what the post-internet world is like now. And there's this idea that I've been thinking about a lot lately with like exposure to information versus earning what that information can give you, right? Like it's easy to hop onto like a YouTube and go watch a jujitsu match or an MMA fight or highlights or something like that and go, oh, well, I would have done this differently. Or you're armchair quarterbacking every single situation because we have so much exposure to infinite amounts of information. But there's no like Jordan, what you were saying, like it's not means tested. Your exposure to that information does not give you all of the traits that the people who are expert in that field have earned, right? And so it's like you can go, oh yeah, well I'm a big strong guy and I'm gonna walk into a jiu-jitsu gym for the first time and I'm just gonna toss these people around because I watch MMA all the time. And it's like just because you understand what that looks like on a screen doesn't mean you understand what it looks like to get your butt kicked. And then to have the person who just kicked your butt go, here's how I did it, here's what you did wrong, see you tomorrow. And I think like
And the
that
outcome won't happen
and
again.
the outcome won't change. Right? Like you're gonna show up tomorrow and the same thing's gonna happen
Yeah,
again and
for
again and
years.
again and again for
Yeah,
years.
forever.
And then you
Yeah.
get a black belt and you're like, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. The pre-internet thing is an interesting thing. And it's, sometimes you see it, right? When people come into the gym, these people who have never had to actually be in a situation where, to your point, because jujitsu is, and I suppose like any other martial art, but jujitsu is probably unique in that you're to drill and learn the art, you have to allow someone else to put their arm around your throat and choke you to the point where they could kill you if they wanted to, as a matter of practicing how to do the techniques properly. There's an amazing and insane amount of trust that you place in people that you don't really know. And somehow that still doesn't end up in people dying, like even semi frequently, and even injuring people, like you might go too hard, or somebody might go too hard, and uh and somebody gets hurt. Everybody stops and takes care of that person, and it's such a unique thing. I think that it takes a massive amount of courage for me to go into the gym. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
totally.
No, but I mean, just for anybody to step into a situation like that and put themselves into somebody else's hands,
Absolutely.
it's crazy. Um, cool. Any other thoughts initially just on courage and what it means?
I think it's flexible. I think a lot of people will sit there and say, I like they'll have some sort of perspective on it. I'm a courageous person because of whatever, predetermined set of beliefs, or I am not courageous at all. And I think I've gotten lucky in the sense that through jujitsu, I meet a lot of people who walk in that only show up because they're scared. and they're like, I mean, I'm interested in this, but I'm really scared about what's going to happen. So it's going to be a day one white belt, and they're going to walk in the gym. They'd be like, I don't know what to do. And I've been fortunate enough to sit there and go, hey man, you're doing a thing that the majority of people are too afraid to do. And this notion of courage is not that you are fearless. Everybody's afraid. Just the question is whether or not you're going to do the thing that you believe will add value to your life in the face of that fear. Like it's fear is a healthy, good thing, but it is independent of whether or not you're courageous. Like show up because you're scared.
Well, and you said flexible. So would you also say situational?
Absolutely. I mean, it's domain specific in the sense of like in my professional scope, before I started jujitsu, I would show up in my professional job and feel courageous in the sense that I knew what I was talking about. I felt confident that I could drive a specific outcome. Then I walk into the jujitsu gym and that courage is gone. Right. So it's situational in that way, but it's also flexible because you take this, I have a white belt that I'm thinking about right now that showed up 6, 7 months ago, and he was very tentative with everything. And it wasn't just like he didn't understand how to do the technique because no white belt does at that stage. But it was more so like, I don't know, I don't like just zero aggression, zero punch. Like he would let things happen. And you see him now taking roles with blue belts and purple belts, and he's getting after it. And I'm like, I didn't know that that was a part of your character. So you can see it grow just by continually showing up. Like you don't have to, I think where I'm going is you don't have to try to be courageous. If you just continue to face your fear in that situation, it can grow.
Well, I think also too is it kind of goes back to that quote, like what's a comparison is a thief of joy. But I feel like that quote is not complete in like, but you have to be able to compare yourself to people to see what's possible. Like, and so much of jujitsu is that. Like, I remember being a white belt and rolling with a brown belt the first time, and it's going, I am not the same as this person. Like, we're different breeds of animals. And I remember going home and telling my wife, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be like that. Like, that felt completely different. He's 7 or 8 years ahead of me, and I don't feel like I'll ever be there. And now being a black belt and rolling with white belts is like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like, it's very fun. But the fun thing is though too for me is that I'm close enough to, and my coaches and I talk about this a lot. Like we're close enough to white belt. That was 7 years ago for me. Like I can still speak to white belts and be like, hey, first 6 months suck. Prepare yourself. If you keep showing up, it'll get better. You'll figure it out. You'll do things. You'll get over this huge hump that's the first 6 months of training.
My gosh.
But I feel like we're all so intentional with it because we've all experienced it versus being like having no idea what you're talking about.
So
And
you
now
said
being at this
you
level,
said so you said experience. So then let's rephrase the question that I asked earlier, where I was asking how do we tie courage to humility. Do you think then that it's probably fair to say that that the amount of courage that you have, not not in a survival, fight or flight type situation, but do you think that the ability to be courageous consistently is directly proportionate to your confidence?
well, confidence though is oftentimes has to be based in reality, though, right? Like people can have false
It
confidence.
certainly should be.
Yeah, it could be.
It
But
should be.
and I love a falsely confident person, but
Who doesn't?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's just an opportunity to teach humility, right?
yeah,
Right.
but the better I get at the sport, the oftentimes the less confidence I have because I roll with people who are so
Absolutely.
much better than me still, and I'm like, how does this work? Like, I had a guy do a move to me that I do to other people all the time, and he did it at distance. I didn't think he could do it from there, and he just wailed on me with it. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, and I just like, man,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
totally.
I like that framing a lot. Like because what you're describing in a way is like you gained a new vector for your humility, right? Because you're sitting there thinking like, this is my move. Like, I do this all the time. And all of a sudden somebody does it to you in a slightly different context. And you're like, I wasn't aware that was possible. So now you have this new like branch off the humility tree that does nothing but help you, right? Because it grows bigger. And I think as courage can grow, so too can and should that humility. Like they have to go hand in hand. They feed each other in that way.
Well, you've seen examples where that doesn't, right? You've seen people come in
Yeah.
with false confidence or that false, whatever, or that, or the false idea of themselves.
But no
And then,
humility.
they don't learn, right? They don't learn from those defeats. They get angry or they get upset,
But I think a big part of that is that almost like you get that in like false belt confidence too. Like, oh, I'm a blue belt now and I can handle my business, or I'm a purple belt or a black belt. Like, I'm a black belt, I shouldn't be tapped by a purple belt. And it's like, bro, I was tapping purple belts or black belts as a purple belt. Like, who am I to think that I'm not going to get caught? And you know, but people do that. They get their blue belt and they're like, well, I shouldn't be tapped ever again by a white belt. You're like, dude, you're a white belt. Yeah.
I I I remember getting humbled by a 1 year white belt when I had my blue belt for like a year, and this guy just was all over me, and he like didn't have like finishing technique, so I wasn't like, man, I'm gonna get submitted, and I just had that false confidence, like he doesn't know how to do an Americana or an armbar, or he can't choke anybody. Turns out that he was a D2 wrestler, and I just he yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
But I needed that perspective to be like, not like the belts matter, but they also don't. Like what you should be thinking about is your own progression and your own humility. Like don't walk in there thinking that just because you're newly promoted or whatever that you're
Yeah.
the bee's
Well, and
knees.
that's also so important for upper belts to roll with lower belts, right? Because you need to keep yourself humble. You need to keep yourself aware of what people are doing. If you don't like, oh, I'm not going to bend myself to roll with you. It's like, but then they're missing out the opportunity and you're missing the opportunity. Like, and what if they catch you with something? Like,
Right.
then they catch you. Cool. Like, I don't know, but it's such a weird thing to me because you see so many black belts are like, well, I've achieved this level now. I'm not going to roll white belts anymore. Like, why? Why would you shortchange your own journey and other people's journey too, just because you're not interested in it? Like, it's such a weird thing for me. I don't see it that much here, but I've seen it in other places a lot where people just they achieve a certain level and then they're like, I'm done rolling with low belts. I'm not going to wait. You're rolling with most people.
Right.
What's the point then? What are we doing?
I like to myself personally go home and make the dad excuse, right? Like, no, 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 I'm telling you the things that I don't do well so that you can be better than me, right? So you should
Yeah.
tap all the time and you should, dump your ego. I'm not going to do any of those things, but you should.
Right. Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
That's amazing. All right, dude, awesome, awesome combo on confidence. Let's shift gears here. Jordan, what do you got for us?
I'm a huge, and you guys know, I'm a huge like collector of quotes. I have hundreds of quotes. I keep kind of keep on my phone. I'm always kind of adding new stuff to it. And so, in kind of thinking about today, what I want to do is it's an Ernst Younger quote. It says, "Tell me your relationship to pain, and I'll tell you who you are." So, and especially raising kids and having being involved in jujitsu and weight trainings like that, like so much of that of life nowadays, you can be pain avoidant and go through life and really never experience any kind of pain, right? You can work in an office, you can come home, you eat your microwave pizza and watch Netflix and do that every day for the rest of your life and call
Okay,
it a
bro,
life.
I can hear you. All right, you don't need to.
And it's but on the flip side though, it's not just an athletic thing, but like for me, when I had my shoulder surgery last August, like that was a really big thing for me because it was like, okay, who am I now? Like if I can't do jujitsu again, who am I? Or if this is my new reality, shoulder pain, because I'm not guaranteed a positive outcome, right? I just it got to a point where I couldn't move my arm anymore, and so I had to get surgery. But and it was at a really awkward time in my life, and moving across the country and changing jujitsu schools and coming out here as a two stripe brown belt. Like I knew that I had a year before it even happened for me, and so I had to earn my stripes here. And so I remember talking to my wife about it. I'm like, if if jujitsu's done because of my shoulder surgery, like I don't know how I feel about that. And so it's like really kind of understanding that pain aspect in all things. Like I don't know, I find so much clarity when it comes to like dealing with pain or dealing with being good at dealing with suffering. Like and I think you can be good at jujitsu if you're good at suffering and taking your licks over and over and over again for years to figure out kind of who you are in that moment.
Yeah. I think so when I was a kid, I relate so much to what you're saying because I taught myself as an idea that I had a low pain tolerance and I was super pain avoidant, right? Overly
Yeah.
cautious about everything, took it really easy. I just didn't want to experience pain more than I had to. Um, and I think that as I got older and pain came, whether I was interested in dealing with it or not, uh, it it actually taught me the reverse of that, which is you have an incredible pain threshold. You can do way more than you think you can do, and it's really not anything to dwell on, right? You can experience pain and keep not only keep moving afterwards, but keep moving during,
Yeah.
and push through and learn how to ignore it, to the not to your detriment, but so that it doesn't become a limiting factor.
Well, and the interesting thing is, like, from a jujitsu perspective, when you're training up new people, like training people to deal with pain, like with a new white belt. Because you'll roll with people and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't have anything for you. I don't know what I'm doing." Blah blah. It's like, bro, just move, fight for
That's
5 minutes.
not your job. Yeah.
Yeah, not your job. I remember Jimmy telling me that. I remember so defeated with him one time. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and he's like, all I expect you to do is fucking go for 5 minutes, and when the bell rings, and you're done. Like but though I want you to move and fight the entire time. And I have that conversation with people now all the time. Like I rolled the purple belt yesterday. I think I tapped him like 5 times, 5 minutes, and he was frustrated by the end. I'm like, all you have to do is fight, and if you can do that, then we'll be fine. Like it will all work out in the end. You can't stop because you stop. You can't get to that breaking point where you allow yourself to quit because you'll
Yeah.
do it again.
Yep.
That realization of pain kind of a thing, and teaching them how to overcome that is a huge deal to me.
Yeah.
It's
I
interesting.
specifically remember being in the middle of a roll with Julio Veliz, and it was the same thing, right? Like just nothing was happening. There was no, I didn't even, it was like looking at a brick wall, like somebody going punch the wall down. You're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And he stopped mid roll and he looked at me and he goes, here's what I want you to do. Stop rolling with me trying to think about what a black belt would do, right? Cause you don't know that,
Yeah.
right? Just develop yourself and what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Stop worrying about what you think I'm going to do. There's no way for you to be in front of that right now. Right. So you're going to be in it. You're going to be in the wave. You're going to be feeling the pain right now. That's where you are. Learn to be comfortable there. And then you can start learning how to, hold your breath until the wave pops you out or whatever it is, or tap or whatever you need to do, as part of your journey. um, that's really interesting. That's a really interesting point too. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I get hurt a lot in this sport. So I have a lot of thoughts on pain. And I think, when I almost lost my eye, the first thing that I thought was like, maybe I've taken this too far. I was like, this might be the thing that I'm gonna regret.
When you say
And
lost your eye, can you can you tell people what that means before people start canceling their memberships?
right. So I had an experience where I was rolling with a very, very athletic white belt. And I had decided I was going to play bottom half guard, and I didn't do a good job of the core fundamental thing in half guard that you're supposed to do, which is to slow down your opponent while maintaining your frames. It was just a technique mistake on my part. And he made a very quick move to try to jump over my bottom knee. And in doing so, he slid his knee up to my head and he caught me right in the eye with my eye fully open. And the stitching on the gi pants sheared my cornea completely off. And the
Yeah.
emergency room doctor was like, "Congratulations on your LASIK surgery," because I had no cornea.
Oh,
And he told me if it was a quarter of an inch closer to the outside, I would have shattered my orbital bone and lost my eye because there was so much force. And if it was a quarter of an inch towards my nose, I would have broken my nose. Largely would have been okay. And if I had closed my eye, I would have been fine. I would have just had a black eye. And so
huh.
just the perspective, or rather prospective number of outcomes from that specific injury alone shows me that, like, you're gonna get hurt doing stuff. You're gonna get hurt in relationships. You're gonna get hurt when you have disappointments at work. You're gonna get hurt jamming your finger in the refrigerator door. You're gonna get hurt doing jujitsu. The notion of pain being a hurdle that should prevent you from doing what you want to do or following your dream or doing your pursuit, is just something we trick ourselves into saying, like, if it hurts, I have to stop. Like, that's a false belief. If it hurts, it just means that you need to adjust your path, right? And I think, like, the number of times that I've been hurt to feel comfortable saying that, the list is long. I had the eye injury. I blew out 2 discs in my back. I've had elbow problems. I've had broken fingers. I tore my toe. I broke a rib on my first day ever doing the sport. Right? Like the list is long, but it's like I'm still here because I love it and I love what the people in the community bring to it. And pain isn't tied to that experience at all. It's just I have to figure out how to adjust. Right?
Yeah. I think though too, a lot like you hear that Navy SEAL thing. Like most people quit at 40%. And if you
Right.
can start figuring out where that 40% is for you and being like, I can go longer than this. I can go hard. And this is
Totally.
but you look at the attrition rate in what because when I was like we all talk jujitsu because we all do it. Like what's the attrition
Yeah.
rate in jiu? Like it's really high.
Exceedingly high. Yeah.
To get to your black belt, it's you're less than 1/10 of 1%. Like and it just I don't know. Like it's a weird like I'm not gonna let myself quit. And so and then you do hard things like Goggins challenges or Murphs or stuff like that to where you're like,
Or
I'm just
Merce
gonna
and then
show up.
unicorn rolls.
You do
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. I because for me I need to test myself. Like I need to not let myself get comfortable because I don't know. I don't like comfort is the killer kind of a thing for me. Like that's that quote, like comfort will be your coffin. And so many people just yearn for comfort and seek comfort. It's just like that's since I raced mountain bikes, like that's what became my thing. It's like I don't want to be comfortable. Like I like suffering and I want to do hard things all the time. And I want people to think how crazy I am because I do that.
We do.
And
I,
We absolutely
I,
do.
I think
No, but
Randy,
that
you're
is it's such an interesting thing. We've talked about it a lot over the course of our friendship and as it's developed. Um, yeah, you are one of those people that right, you get to that crossroad of like um of sort of stop, stay where things are, or turn the pain up. And you're kind of like, well, what's down turn the pain up road? And I'm like, I'm not interested in what's down turn the pain up road.
but I don't know. But for me, it's like more often than not, though, like biting down your mouthpiece and going forward oftentimes gets you things you'll never get without doing that, right? And it's just I don't know. All the growth that I've seen in life have come from doing that kind of thing, right? We all know Jimmy Norman, if you're new here. Big scary black belt was always been bidding scary. And I remember just going to a class at open mat one time and watching people duck him and just being like, I can't duck him. I can't do that. I can't be that person. And and he's the kind of person who finds honor in that kind of thing. And you do that
yeah.
enough time and it's like you found that one
I,
person that really want to impress.
I
And
think
for
that he's such a great example in this context. I mean, I've been extremely fortunate in the past few months before my most recent neck injury to beat Jimmy's Uke. And, Randy and I have had a lot of discussions about how we continue to build the legacy of the Saturday class at our school. And it's so interesting to watch someone who's so revered, like Jimmy. He's at 6'4", 240, just I mean, he's got forearms that look like coiled rebar. And there's just when you roll with him, you realize that there's nothing you can do. And you watch his last match against somebody who was bigger and stronger than he was, and it was just he was toying with him. And so I think one of the most proud moments of my jiu-jitsu journey so far is being Jimmy Zuke and people knowing that people duck him
Mhm.
consistently.
Yeah.
And the being his uke, and when he's teaching the moves, it's not like he's going 10%. Like he's being generous, he's being kind, but he's applying the move to show you how you should apply the move. And every time I hear somebody in the class go, oh, as he's doing it to me, and then they all break, and this happens consistently, and then I'll stand up and Jimmy will look at me and go, thank you. And then give me a pat on the back and tell me to go learn. And it's like, just earning that little bit of respect because it hurts is so rewarding. And it's that little like support that says like you can do this sport. You could do this hobby. You could go through hard things. It's like that subtle reminder that a guy with such accomplishment, who people are so scared of, is like, hey man, you're doing good. Go get it.
I remember I met Jimmy at the school right after COVID had gotten out. And I guess it still was kind of whatever. People still weren't training and schools were still closed. But our school opened up and let a few of us come in. I think there was like 8 of us in the room, and Jimmy and I rolled the first round, and of course it was, an exercise in endurance and suffering. Um, and then Jimmy sat up and looked around like, who's next? And everybody's eyes went completely in the opposite direction, right? Like nobody wanted any of that smoke. And Jimmy and I ended up rolling for a straight half hour, just straight 30 minutes, just the two of us. Literally, I mean, I made no progress as a human or as
Yeah.
a jujitsu student. There was nothing gained, except that at the end, Jimmy said, "This whole room full of people, and only you had the heart to stick with it and go a half an hour with me." And to me, it not only felt good to get that respect, but it was like one of the first times where I thought, oh, like I don't just have the ability to push through. Like I actually have heart. Like I have that thing that you can't teach people, right? That thing
Yeah.
where it's like, I don't care. I want to learn from Jimmy more than I'm worried about what he's going to do to me physically. And like I said, this is from a guy who the very first time I ever met him taught me an Ezekiel choke by cracking my trachea with his curl rebar hands. Like I couldn't talk right for a month from this
Yeah.
guy. But again, some people get a cracked trachea and they never look Jimmy's way again. Some
Mhm.
people, go, please, sir, can I have some more? And that's kind of where it ended up. And because of that, I have that same experience that Chris has where it's like, oh man, I love being part of that legacy of that style of jujitsu, to be associated with Jimmy's class or with his style of jujitsu or yours or Chris's for that matter. It's a huge honor for me. So yeah, I mean, I totally feel that.
Well, yeah, he and I have talked about that. I'm like, because moving out here, I'm like, dude, I'm teaching people what you've taught me. Like, I teach the Monday morning class for Kenny, and it's just like all the stuff that I do is all the stuff that he taught me, and so it's like it's a cool realization to be like what he invested in me is now being invested in other people. Like, and that's really what jujitsu is, right? You need to have people who are willing to invest in other people and not just in it for their own gain. Like when you get your purple belt, right? Somebody should need to take you aside and be like, hey, now you need to find somebody to invest in because you're at a level now where you could be teaching and you got to find somebody. And and that's the biggest thing I've really experienced recently, like really investing in somebody and seeing their growth and knowing that like it was an intentional thing for me to get them to where they are now. And they know it and I know it. And it's just and people make comments about it. It's like that's what the sport is investing downward. And you need to be able to take your abuse upward to help people going down.
I mean, like church, right? You can bring your friend and have him sit next to you and hope that the preacher up there can convince him of something true, or you can actually disciple him like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge missing component of that in most people's lives is that they're not plugged into a healthy community, number one, but they also don't ever experience true, like someone pouring directly into them for their better unselfishly, right? That's such a crazy, unique situation.
Well, yeah, and hang on,
Oh,
but
good.
it takes both sides of the equation though too, right? Like I can pour into you, but if you don't want it, like I can't show up to your house and drag you out of bed to come do jujitsu with me. Like if you don't want it, you're not going to get it. And
Yeah.
but you need to have somebody like me who's willing to pour into you, but you need to be a student who wants to show up and learn. And
Yeah.
so it's a really interesting, very rare kind of dynamic to find somebody like that who wants it all the time and you are willing to give it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Whew. All right. So we've talked courage, we've talked pain. Chris, take us home. What do we got?
So I've been thinking a lot about stillness lately and how hard it is to just sit for a little bit and do nothing. And I remember going to a doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago and sitting in the waiting room. And the second that touched the seat, it was like, I need a phone, or I need to go read a magazine or pull out a book or something like that. And I listened to a podcast that talked about how just that constant search of like a dopamine hit is so hurtful to the human experience. It makes us reliant on external stimuli. And it also reminded me of jujitsu because I think it was Randy when you were like, we were talking about your famous sweep that you do from bottom side to bottom north south, right? The Randy roll. And you had said something about it where you were like, honestly, it's just about being okay, being still while the other person moves. And
Mhm.
then when you're ready, you go. And I don't know why it reminded me of that, but I'm sitting there like, it takes a lot of discomfort to just sit there and do nothing for 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a
Right.
time, right? Stare out at nature, enjoy it. And I'm just curious what you guys think about like where you are in your ability to just be still with things as it relates to jujitsu and what you actually think it can do for like being good at being still, what you think it can do for um just your own humanity.
Yeah. You got something? Go.
Like, so a big thing that I've been really been working on also is kind of like not having my phone with me. Like that's why I wear an analog watch, like because I
Mm,
don't want my phone connected to me. Like
yeah,
I do sales. I'm with my phone all the time. When I don't want my phone, I don't want it. Like I was out. You get coffee with somebody, and I'll leave my phone in the car. Like I don't need to be interrupted right now. I don't need to be checking my phone, or even when I go like sit in a doctor's office. Like I'll sit there and not have my phone with me intentionally because it's like
yeah,
I want to be okay just sitting here and waiting and being patient and trying to teach myself because it is so easy to pull your phone out and start flipping through Instagram or whatever and be entertained for 5 minutes before the doctor comes out.
right.
Yeah, and my big thing with jujitsu at least is like I start either every round from bottom side or bottom mount, and no matter who I'm rolling with, black belts down to white belts. It sucks because you just get your face ground off half the time because that's what everyone wants to do. But it's a hard thing, like starting in a bad spot and force yourself to work out and being patient because it's when you start on top, it's easy. I remember referencing Jimmy again. He remember him telling me like, there's no honor starting on top.
Right.
You need to work your way up. And I remember him telling me that, and that stuck with me for like since he told me that. And
Yeah.
I do it every round I start on the bottom in a really bad position. And if you catch me, awesome. If not, I'm gonna work my way out. But like it's that being okay with being patient to wait for something to happen, wait for the situation to open up for you versus forcing something to happen, right? And it's all position fighting and balance and stuff like that. And you can do little things to force people to do something, but you have to be patient.
When I started jujitsu, I had terrible claustrophobia, like terrible, terrible. And I would get in these, and thanks to JT and thanks to you, I always also start in terrible spots. I have since day one, just because that's like what I was taught, right? Like never start on top, right? Um, and so because of that, I would end up in bottom north south a lot, being smashed by muscle bound dudes whose gis would form a sweaty, humid cave around my body that was being smashed, right? I couldn't get a cool, fresh breath of air. I couldn't lift someone off of me, right? It was, you are going to be stuck here unless you tap. And and I think when you hear people say, learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, that is the most vivid example in life that I can think of is me stuck under some huge dude and just stuck in that sweaty,
Nothing you
unbreathable,
can do.
horrible cave, right? There's nothing you can do. Um, but to Chris's point, uh, I feel that way in life too. Like my greatest discomfort in life is always associated with a sense of helplessness, right? A sense of, um, usually it's not my own helplessness. It's like someone else is in a situation that I'm helpless to pull them out of, or, um, but I think jujitsu has been so beneficial in that aspect, especially, yeah, okay, I developed a sweep out of it, but that that really comes from every single role I've done for the last 7 years has pretty much started laying down on my back with someone's full weight and me going, do your worst, right? And let's go. Um, and just
Yeah.
figuring out how to be comfortable long enough that someone gasses out so that your opportunity does present itself, or until they move in a way that is advantageous to you. That's where that mentality came from literally going, I'm claustrophobic, make me feel claustrophobic right now, you know?
Yeah. That's such a cool story. It sparks a thought on me. We've had a lot of discussions before we've gotten onto this podcast about the differences between hobby jujitsu and sport jujitsu, and how a lot of hobbyists are going to sit there and do it for whatever reason, and the sport people are doing it only so that they can go get a medal on a podium, which is fine. Like there's a great approach to both, but oftentimes the hobby side gets devalued because of like the inherent nature of competition baked within a sport. But Randy, as you're talking, like it sparks a thought on me that like for the hobby side, the personal journey is so often overlooked, and it extends so far beyond the sport. Because I would venture to say that the things that may have contributed to that intense feeling of claustrophobia when you began also bled into other areas of your life. Yet
100%.
as a result of the difficulty that you went through in overcoming that sense of claustrophobia, I would have to imagine that those same things don't exist in the other areas of your life anymore, right? Like you went through the difficult journey, you went through the pain, you went through it, you had the courage, right, to push through, and now those moments don't bother you or hold you back in the way that they once did. Suffice to say, I think jujitsu is the cause for that. We shouldn't be devaluing the hobbyist side because of all those other effects that it can bring to
Well, and
your
I
life.
couldn't agree more. And you mean, you guys know as well as anyone, jujitsu absolutely transformed my life from what it was before, and informs on every type of decision I make in every, different set of circumstances I find myself in. It absolutely was a transformative, process in the journey. But I also agree with you. You go to those promotions and you hear, you know, people go, yeah, everybody has their own journey, and you're like, okay, cool, but what are those journeys?
What does it,
Like,
yeah, what does it
like
mean? What does it look like?
what does that mean? And I think the impact comes directly, like you said, from now I'm in a situation where I'm feeling helpless in life. I have a physical, tangible practice that I've put into, bled into, sweat into personally,
Yeah, yeah.
that gives me a set of tools to deal with that in a different way now, right?
Yeah. And also, so this reminded me of a story, Chris. So like the whole thing, Randy, the whole sweeter after difficulty. Jiu-jitsu is full of so many people always say, oh, it's full of ups and downs. Like, no, it's full of mostly downs. And if you feel like this, and a little bit of this, but mostly just driving towards the ground the whole time. I don't know. I want Chris to tell the story. Chris, remember the time I was disappointed with something and I had you start on my back for like a few,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Oh, yes. So there was a time when Jordan had anticipated his own readiness for a promotion, for a belt promotion. And um he had done all of the work and put the planning in, and I'm talking about the logistics, right? Like bringing his family to the promotion day. He was maybe led to believe that certain things were going to happen and they didn't, and his family kind of had to leave, and he had to like see that disappointment, and it manifested in I want to go in the absolute worst position possible for 6 months. And when you say like I start every round in bottom mountain, bottom side control, I want people to understand that you've been doing this for years. And I was fortunate enough to be one of your primary training partners in the night classes. So first Monday class after a Saturday promotion where you didn't get the belt, you walk up to me before I even put my stuff into the lockers and go, I want you to start every single round and every single reset on my back with a fully locked in rear naked choke. And I'm a white belt. And so I go, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, just don't cross your feet and we'll be fine. I go, all right. Sure, sure enough, round one starts and I'm like, I got it locked in. I'm like doing my check marks, got everything set. And I start squeezing, and I'm like, Jordan's not moving. He's like, and he taps like 4 seconds in. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And Jordan, I don't know if you remember this. The first time you look back, you're like, I just wanted to know what it felt like without trying to escape. I was just like,
That sounds right.
and in my mind, only 4 seconds had gone off the clock, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, I got him. He can't even go anywhere. And it was just like, no, I needed like 4 to 5 seconds of pure suffering to get that out of my system. And then it was like every single reset from then on for 5 minutes. I don't know. I think I choked you 7 or 8 times.
Yeah. I think I escaped like once and the
Yeah.
entire time.
That was on my bad side.
Yeah. But and the thing did that for though. Like that was a consistent thing weeks that we did.
Yes.
Like and it
And
was just
it
like
was, yeah.
yeah.
No,
And the
I
thing,
distinctively I remember the mount period, and
I
because
do
of
too.
that,
That's
like
what I was
to
going to
this
call out.
day, if I get on mount,
It's
you're
over.
gonna have a really hard time moving me off of mount because
Yeah.
Jordan
Yep.
made me fight to retain mount with his horrible attacks and defense and escapes, figuring it out. It sharpened my game in ways that you can't imagine. Starting that's the exception to the rule, right? Is like if it's a normal roll and we're just going, I start on bottom unless you ask me not to, right? If you ask me to start on top, then I will. But I to this day, people, as soon as I get in mount and I hear people go, I'm like, yeah,
It's
that's
the most
Jordan's fault.
rewarding.
It's all Jordan.
I mean, we talk a lot. We've talked about lineage and legacy on this podcast so far. And as a result of that series of stories, Jordan, where you're like start on the back, and then you're like, okay, now I want you to start with one hook out, and now I want you to start like it progressively changed, and you're like, okay, now do mount. I distinctly remember starting every roll with you, every reset in mount until the one time that I got you. And you were like, you didn't see it. You were like, I don't know what you did, but and that's now my go-to submission on every mount. And now I rolled with our good friend Brian, and I got him into mount where I was in mount maybe 4 or 5 times in one round, and I caught that same submission each time. And he outweighs me by maybe 60, 70 pounds. He's a strong guy. He's really affable. He loves the role. He wants it like, yes, sir, can I have another kind of a thing? And after class, he goes, can you show me what you did? Like, how did you stay mount? Like, you're smaller than I am. How is that possible? And I was like, well, the trick is you go find Jordan, and then you start in mount every single roll for 6 months,
Yeah.
and you become a little bit of a specialist.
The
And
first time I
there's a
ever
lot of
heard about the concept of poker tells was from this movie Maverick with Mel Gibson. It was just it was a comedy remake of an old Western series. But one of the scenes that really always stuck out to me was he arrives in this town and he sits down at this poker table, and he asks if he can play in the game, and there's a couple of people who are reluctant to let him play, and he says, "I'll tell you what, I promise that I will lose for at least an hour." And everybody goes, "Okay, have a seat, right? This guy's just going to lose for an hour." And what happens is he loses for an hour and he's kind of messing around, he's playing around, but he's watching everybody. And after that hour, he starts just mopping the floor with people. Every hand he wins, he can't lose, right? And they get upset and they call him a cheater. And he says, "What do you think I was doing for that first hour? I was learning your tells," right? And I instinctively, I mean, just like in my mind, it's so clear this idea of me starting in a topside control with all locked in and horrible the way Jordan taught me how to do it, and hitting him with something and having him go, "Oh, that was cool. What'd you just do?" And then I show him and he goes, "Okay, well, enjoy it because that's the last time you're ever going to
Yeah.
hit me with that." And
He said the exact same thing to me.
and it's true. I've never hit him with that stuff again.
Sure. Yeah. Sure enough.
He learned my tells, but it's so true, right? It's get in that bad position so that you've experienced as many of the bad positions as you can, and you always have an answer.
yeah, like you inoculate yourself to the bad positions. Like,
Right.
oh, mount. All right, cool. Like I've been here 1,000 times. Like, what do I care?
Right.
And, like what a better way to like wrap a bow on all of the topics, right? Like if you inoculate yourself to the pain or the suffering or the difficulty in the journey, the benefits that come from that are humility, are increases courage, are comfort in being still, are comfort overcoming injury. if you know what bad feels like and you're okay getting through the micro bad moments of a jujitsu round, it just has all these proliferating benefits into the other areas of your game and your life.
Yeah. It takes you actively doing it though, right? You can't
Right.
fake your way through that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. What a fun first episode. Thank you so much for the insightful and and amazing topics that you brought up. And for everybody out there, thank you so much for being part of this. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this out. You're going to be seeing these come on a more frequent basis. We're going to have some fun guests come in and lend their perspective to some of the things we're talking about. But until that happens, keep an eye out for updates on when we're coming up with more episodes. And until then, this has been Sweeter After Difficulty. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Chris.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Cheers.